So Colby Covington and Leon Edwards has just been announced, and I think this is a phenomenal matchup. I'm just going to say that first. But as far as who I think is going to win, and I want to put it out there that this channel will never be centered around who I like and who I favorite to be a fight based off of like my preferences in a fighter. It's purely based off of stylistic and skill matchups. And so when I look at these two fighters, I wholeheartedly believe that I think Colby Covington has a stylistic advantage in this matchup. Now, here's why. I think that Colby Covington can put on a phenomenal pace. He's very durable and he's very game. Every time Colby comes to fight, he comes to actually fight. There's not much of a time in his career, at least that I can think of, that he's come to a fight and that he's flopped. He's always competitive. He's always coming to drown a person. And so when I see him going against Leon, I think in order for Leon to win this fight, his best chance is to be the best version of himself. And Leon has very good striking. I think in many ways, still, even after his knockout against Usman, even after his performance against Usman the second time, I think people still underestimate Leon's striking ability and his ability to stay on his feet. And so with that being said, I still have Colby Covington winning. Now, here's why. Colby Covington can put on some of the best pace, if not the best pace, in that division. And I think that that's going to be one of the deciding factors in this fight. I think that with his striking ability, because Colby Covington also has a pretty solid striking ability, but also his ability to mix up his wrestling, his striking. He's a very complete fighter. And like I said earlier, whether you like him or not, we're not going to judge this fight based off of whether I like Colby Covington or not. Am I a fan of Colby? It depends on what aspect. Am I a fan of Colby as far as personality, as far as the persona that he puts out into the world? It may not be one of my favorites. However, when it comes to being a fighter, I love watching Colby Covington fight because he puts on a pace that many fighters can't handle. He's very durable and he comes to fight. And that is always entertaining for me. And I think that's always entertaining for a lot of people coming to actually watch something entertaining. And so I have Colby Covington winning. If I had to be the coach for Colby and give advice on how I think his best route of beating Leon would be, I would say, Colby, you need to be a complete fighter for this fight. You need to fight your fight, which involves striking, which involves grappling, going for the double leg, putting on a pressure, keeping Leon's back against the cage is going to be your route to victory. Not allowing Leon to really settle in, because I think when Leon settles in, that is when he's at his best. And that was the mistake that Usman made in both fights. Usman was winning in the first fight when he wasn't allowing Leon to settle in. But when it got to the last round, Usman kind of peeled back a little bit and he allowed Leon to settle into the fight. And that's where you saw that flash, boom, that flash head kick. And we all know what happened, what happened after that. And so that will be the key for Colby, is to not allow Leon to ever get comfortable. Now, the key for Leon is to settle in. They both go hand in hand, people. And with Leon's striking ability, if he's allowed to measure the distance, if he's allowed to display clean boxing and kickboxing technique, that is when things will start to roll for Leon. But Colby Covington typically doesn't allow fighters to do that. And so the reason why Colby had such a difficult time with Usman was because I really believe that Usman is like a Colby Covington in many ways. However, he possesses more physical capability than Colby Covington. But I don't think Leon's physical capability is the same as Usman's. It's like a triangle, right? It's like rock, paper, scissors. And so when it comes to Leon and Colby Covington will be able to do more against Leon, in my opinion, because the physical capabilities are not as drastic. And Leon is also not typically a pressure fighter. And he isn't as strong of a wrestler as Usman. So when Usman and Colby Covington fought, the wrestling aspect kind of got nullified because they both have wrestling capabilities. And so it turned into more of a striking match. And Usman has more power, and so he was able to do more damage throughout the span of the fight. But because Leon is not on the same level as Colby or as Usman in the wrestling department, I think that's going to allow Colby to mix in more takedowns, to mix in more of his wrestling capability, and I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for Leon and ultimately give him the L. So I think we're going to see a Colby Covington era. And as far as if we're going to see an Usman Colby Covington fight again, I don't know. I think Usman needs to get a solid win under his belt in order to put himself into another title contention. But you still have Belal Muhammad, who has, in my mind, kind of surprised a lot of people. He surprised me. I didn't really truly think that Belal was going to be a true contender just based off of his fighting style. It's a very generic fighting style in my mind, but it's gotten him to the dance. It's gotten him close to that title contention. And so I think we're gonna start to see these names mix in. You know, I thought people like Gilbert Burns was going to be in a more was going to be in a more higher, he was going to be in a higher position as far as being a title contender. But I think Gilbert Burns was doing too much. He had momentum, but then I think that he overworked his body when it came to competing. And so I think his layoff, his little break in fighting is going to be good for him. And so we might see him in the future being in the contention. But for right now, I think, you know, Colby Covington is probably going to get it done. But you can't sleep on Leon Edwards. He's proven that. He's proven that he's a game fighter. And we're going to see if he can get the job done. Now, if Leon Edwards beats Colby, boy, I think that jumps Leon up to a very, very strong championship level. And, you know, you beat Usman twice. You beat Colby Covington. I think Leon actually beats Belal Muhammad. And so we're going to see what happens. I think that this division is at a very interesting spot. It's a very exciting spot. I actually think that this division is at one of the most exciting spots in the UFC. And so we're going to see what happens. And so, yeah, I have Colby Covington winning probably. It might go to decision. But I think Colby is really going to test Leon's spirit. He's really going to test Leon's ability to withstand storms. And Colby is going to bring it for the majority of the fight. And so comment down below what you guys think, who you guys think is going to win, and how you think he's going to win. Am I spot on about this prediction? And we're going to see how this fight plays out. So comment, like, subscribe to the channel. This is the #1 fight channel on YouTube. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.